But first, our top story tonight, a push to drive Tampa Bay forward with new transportation projects.
The Hillsborough County Commission approving the plan to put a new penny tax referendum on the November ballot after a 5-2 vote. As you recall, Hillsborough County voters approved a similar tax back in 2018, but it was overturned for legal reasons last year after collecting more than $500 million of taxpayer money. That money is still in somewhat of a legal limbo, but most commissioners say the measure is necessary to make adjustments to our roads, sidewalks, and transit system.
It is unconscionable that we not give people the choice to invest in our future, invest in our safety, and invest in not being congested and unsafe moving forward.
Leaders say Hillsborough County's roads, sidewalks, and buses have about $2.2 billion in unmet needs over the next 10 years. But not everyone agrees with them that the new penny tax would be a solution, especially during a time of increasing inflation.
Our property taxes already takes care of our transportation needs. So they already have all the money they need.
As you can see behind her there was a group of protesters who gathered outside of the meeting tonight, holding up signs against the proposal. But there were also those who spoke in favor of putting the referendum on the ballot.
There will never be a perfect time. Inflation is costly and gas prices are high, but those costs pale in comparison to the costs we are paying individually and as a community every day that we delay.
County leaders say a possible 1-cent tax would raise almost $250 million in just the first 2 budget years, money that could go directly to improving the county's roads and bus service. 2021 was the deadliest year for drivers around Tampa.
And approval of the 1-cent sales tax could help local agencies improve safety conditions for drivers and pedestrians. Our Mason Morrow goes in depth tonight to show you what improvements the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County have in store to drive Tampa Bay forward.
What is it really going to take for something to happen?
A question 255 families are asking themselves after a deadly year for driving around Tampa and Hillsborough County. It's an answer Valerie Jones has now waited nearly 7 years for.
Let's do it, and then you're saving a life. You know, you're saving a mother and a grandmother and a brother, you know, from having to endure what we've endured.
On October 6th, 2015, Jones's daughter, Alexis Miranda, and a friend walked onto Bush Boulevard in an unmarked crosswalk, making their way to class at Chamberlain High.
They used a turning lane as a passing lane, or was attempting to, and they struck Alexis from behind.
Jones rushed from work to the crash site, hoping her daughter was okay. But the 17-year-old didn't survive.
It's just surreal. You know, I was like, this can't be, you know, that's wrong.
A tragic death reminiscent of the dangers pedestrians face near Tampa roads. I looked through the city's Vision Zero action plan published in March. Data shows walkers are Tampa's most vulnerable travelers, accounting for 39% of deadly crashes on city streets.
Brighter lights, more crosswalks. How can we make pedestrians safer? We look at everything.
Chris Carson and the Florida Department of Transportation are working with Tampa Bay agencies to help make pedestrians more visible to drivers. The state is installing updated LED lights at high-injury corridors around Hillsborough County and implementing new leading pedestrian intervals at crosswalks to give walkers and cyclists a head start.
We can give pedestrians 3 to 7 seconds before any vehicles are given a green indication for them to safely cross the roadway.
There's so much work that still needs to be done.
More includes constructing pedestrian hybrid beacons, something Beth Alden and the Hillsborough Transportation Planning Organization are targeting along the county's 30 deadliest corridors.
Then you provide predictable behavior for drivers to expect the pedestrians are going to be there. So, I mean, the more predictability you can create, the better.
The flashing crosswalks were set up along Bayshore Boulevard after a 24-year-old mother and her toddler were killed crossing the waterfront road back in 2018. Brandy Miklas, coordinator for the city's infrastructure mobility program, says the lighted beacons not only make it safer for pedestrians to cross the street, but they change drivers' speeding habits as well.
It's just going to slow a driver down just a little bit when they're going through maybe a high pedestrian area.
In 2021, speeding or reckless driving accounted for 71% of road deaths, the largest factor in determining if a person walks away from a crash. Looking at the numbers, nearly 40% of deadly crashes in Tampa occur in the area's top 50 deadliest corridors. And 75% of those fatalities happen in about 12 spots around the city.
So it's very attainable to be able to address those areas, those roads, and put in some of those traffic calming measures, and just designing our roadways with all users in mind.
Along one of those corridors on Bush Boulevard, the speed limit was dropped from 45 miles per hour to 40 miles per hour. But Jones says it's still not enough to save pedestrians from the same fate as her daughter.
They just don't provide enough safety in that area for the students.
She wonders why flashing crosswalks along Bayshore can't be replicated over on Bush to create a safe zone near the school zone.
They just need to, stop with the excuses and just get it done.
In Tampa, I'm in-depth reporter Mason Morrow, ABC Action News.
Meanwhile, safety improvements such as the flashing beacons are part of the city and county's 5-year Vision Zero plan. You can find more details on that initiative on our website. Head over to abcactionnews.com.